In the tunnel.
In the tunnel.
In the tunnel. You're listening to In the Tunnel.
Hello and welcome to In the Tunnel. It is June 22nd, 2018. We are talking NBA draft preview because we recorded the night before, and we are talking baseball and hockey award season. My name is Jeremy,
And I'm Sean.
and it's time to dive in. So, what do you want to start with?
Let's just start with MLB, like we've been doing. So,
All right.
AL West.
Yep, West Coast week.
All right. So, at the top of the AL West is the Astros. They've been really dominant, basically,
Yeah.
since the beginning.
Yep. I mean, it's hard for us. I mean, I don't know if you know this. Charlie Morton, one of their pitchers, is from Flemington. So, you also used to be on the Pirates, so hard to root against him in my shoes. But they've also put together quite the pitching staff with Keuchel, Cole, Verlander. They don't really have a weak spot in their rotation, and their bats have been young for a few years now. Most of them are only going to get better with time, so really, the window is wide open for Houston for upcoming years.
Yeah, and I mean, it just goes to show this year they're doing really well, and the only team that's really keeping pace with them is the Mariners.
Yeah, I mean, the Mariners kind of a surprise to me. They're 49-26. They're one of those teams that
They're 46-29, by the way.
Okay, Sean, got it. So they're 46-29. And really, they're a team that just every year they put together a decent squad and never really play well, or never enough to make the playoffs. And this year they lose Robinson Cano, their best player, to a PED suspension. And for me, it's just a little surprising because they're at 46-29, arguably doing better this year than any other year. Now minus their best player.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little shocked.
Yeah, no, it's quite surprising, especially like them. At least they're only like 3.5 games back, and doing this, keeping there without Cano is pretty good for them. I
I didn't
mean,
even know that they had the depth though.
yeah, but I mean the other three teams in that division ain't really doing anything. So.
Yeah, a little disappointed in the Angels. I mean, they had Otani, the big signing, which, I mean, it didn't really make a lot of sense why he wasn't going to an NL squad when he signed, because if you're going to, like, play every day and pitch, but I guess they found a way to make that work.
Hasn't been
But,
really doing much though.
I mean, he got off to a really hot start, and people are saying, like, these are, like, what Babe Ruth did in his first, X number of games. The typical overreaction stuff.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate you have some guys like Mike Trout on this team. You have Pujols. It's like, how many big names do you have to have on a team for them to actually succeed? It's a little disappointing that they haven't gotten the job done.
Yeah, I mean, with their only like 4 games over 500 and 10 games out of first place. So, I
Yeah,
mean, even though we're like 70 some games, 75 games into the season about,
I don't know. Don't ask me. I can't even get 49 or 46 right.
Yeah, we're about 75 games into the season. The Angels are 74 games into the season. Um, yeah, they're starting to the gap between them and first place is starting to uh, expand. So, I mean, I don't really see them coming back unless they'd have to start making their resurgence soon
Yeah.
because they can't really afford to get to like I think like 12, 13 games back, and then you're really in trouble. Especially when then you'd have about like half the season left to make up 14-ish game, which is tough.
Yeah, no, you're right, but the Angels are a team that I feel like they're not going to be selling at the trade deadline because I can't remember the last time they did such a thing.
Yeah,
So,
but I mean,
I mean, they may fold up shop, but I don't see them like, like rebuilding anytime soon.
yeah, no, I'm not saying they're gonna rebuild. I'm just saying I don't think they're gonna be in playoff talks even around I don't know in like the next month or two.
I'm willing to give it a little bit more time, but I think you're right.
Yeah, because I mean, past them we have the Athletics and the Rangers, and yeah, they're not in playoff talks. So
Yeah, they haven't been for a number of years.
yeah, and I mean, aside from the Rangers being down in the dump, the Athletics are just a bit over 500, but I don't think that's gonna cut it with the Astros in this division. So
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, the Astros are too far ahead.
yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
like the only thing you can see is maybe like if the Mariners can keep it up, they get a wild card spot.
Yeah, and when Cano comes back, if he is hot and swings a good bat, then they got a chance. But I don't know if they have enough because you have to assume that the Astros haven't pulled away by then either.
Yeah, I mean, even if the Astros do pull away, like the Mariners are in a spot where they are in they're at least in the running for a wild card spot
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I mean, what they have all what if they're 17 games over 500 if you look at their record. So, I mean, that has to be one of the higher win-loss differentials in the league.
Yeah.
So, but the problem is at least for them is they can't let the gap between really them and the other teams, even outside of their division, just in the AL, get too big. Because if they're going to fight for a wild card spot in the end, they need to keep pace with the Astros.
Right, which means that they can't slump anytime.
Yeah, I mean it's not like
It's just
slump. They can't have too long of slumps. Like
right.
5 game skid is going to happen in a 162 game season,
Mhm.
but you don't want it to get to like 9, 10 games.
Right, but it's hard to ask of that this early in the season too.
Yeah.
So that makes it a little more improbable.
Yep. So,
All right, so over to the NL West.
mhm. So in the NL
Um,
we have the Diamondbacks at the top
yep,
of a
40, 40 and 33.
pretty close division, I gotta say.
Yeah, closest closest division maybe outside of the NL East, but the NL East is the beating of the dead horses kind of. So this is a different kind of uh, division, one that's actually competitive, and it's really not that much if you look down the standings. You got the Dodgers in second at 38 and 35, the Giants at 37 and 38, the Rockies at 36 and 38, and the Padres at 34 and 42.
Yep. I mean, yeah, because the Diamondbacks are at the top with 40 wins and 33 losses. So this division is really one where I think. anything can really happen.
Yeah,
Aside
I mean
from the
it looks
Padres
that
winning
way.
it, but they can make a splash. I feel like and
The Padres
ruin one
cannot
of
make a
the
splash.
other teams'
The
season
Padres cannot make a splash. They're like the worst team
by make a
ever
splash. I
assembled.
mean ruin one of the other teams' chances,
Uh,
not.
Sean, I legitimately don't think that they could literally splash.
Not
Like San Diego is
literally.
that bad. Hey, man, it's been a long day.
Yeah, but
It's been a long day.
I
It's not
mean,
getting any shorter.
it's like surprising to me that you have four teams within 5 games of each other.
I'd say it's surprising you have a whole division within 10 games of each other.
Yeah, but like, because if we look one day and the next, the leader's gonna change. Like, you could literally have all four of those teams switch places with another in their division.
Yeah.
So
And then the Padres will like maybe
whittle
switch
away
places
slowly.
with them with yeah, exactly. I was going to try to make up some scenario but it just did not seem realistic.
Nah, they're just gonna whittle away slowly.
I mean, if that's the one thing that you're good at, you might as well do it well.
They don't want to be good at that.
Well, unfortunately they are. So, they'll have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then my thing is the Rockies, they kind of have this up and down thing where it's like they always look like they're going to be good, really good next year. Cuz like they'll have like really good pieces playing at all-star levels one year, which was last year.
And then they'll go down
And
in the
then
dumps.
yeah, and the next year then they'll just like all disappear. And they've done this for years. It is when they had Tulowitzki would play amazing, and then next year he'd just always be hurt. And now it's like Blackman and Dickerson and all their other outfielders who are just like really, really good, talented guys who showed how, like, wow, look how good the prospect pool was for the Rockies. Like, give these guys enough time and they're all going to be all stars. And it panned out that way, and then it just kind of went right back down, which doesn't surprise me at all. But the Giants, they just do what they do every year. They spend big money.
To
They
not
try to
produce.
right. They trade for good players like McCutcheon, stuff like that. And it's like, well, it didn't really matter. Um, you know,
I mean, to be fair, the entire division's really close, and I'm not counting any of the top four teams out until
I'm
they do
just
something
saying,
like
yeah.
they go on like a pretty big losing streak or something.
No, you're right, but I'm just saying, like up until now,
Yeah,
the
no,
giant,
I agree.
the
They haven't
Giants
made the
went.
splash that you kind of expect.
I mean, they haven't made the playoffs in a few years now, so
Yeah, and
which
they
is
haven't,
weird,
with
but
their additions, they haven't really made the impact you would expect at this point in the season.
right. Yes, and that's it's really disappointing, but this is how both like teams like the Dodgers and Giants do things. The Dodgers didn't Kershaw go down and like is on the DL, but yeah, so like with Kershaw on the DL, if that it was indeed the case, 38 and 35 is all right, but they've put enough into the product on the field that they should be better than that. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm not surprised when the Dodgers have a down year. I mean, the past 4 or 5 years they've done pretty well. So
Yeah, I mean, they're bound to have a down year, but
exactly, I'm
I wouldn't call this a down year yet.
not yet, but
It
they
could
haven't
be.
been as dominant as they've been the last couple of years.
Definitely, definitely.
Because they also weren't in. We never said that the Dodgers were a wild card team in the past few years
Nope.
either. So
Yeah, have not said that in quite a few years.
we also haven't said that the Diamondbacks were in first place in a few years either.
Yeah, that's been a while. More than a few
Been a
years.
while. Been a long time.
Yeah.
They went probably through like 2 or 3 rebuilds since then.
Yeah, I mean, probably the last time we were talking about the Diamondbacks being close to first place is early 2000s, though.
I think that couple years in the late 2000s.
Yeah, probably. Because
Eh,
isn't early
mm.
2000s when they went to the. Did they
That's
win
when
in
they beat.
2001?
Yeah, when they beat the Yankees.
Yeah, they won in 2001. And then I felt like they kind of just started slipping then and haven't really recovered until. And I don't say they've recovered now. It's a really close division.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And I don't know that they're gonna end up being the winners of this division.
Oh no,
It's
it's
way too
completely
soon
up
to
in the
tell.
air. I feel like any of the top four can take it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
It just matters on who gets hot enough and doesn't have the corresponding losing streak.
Yeah, consistency is the name of the game.
hmm Also, like I don't know, later in the season we'll look at it, but um, we have to later in the season. It's really who does best against their own division, right? That really because they play
Yeah,
so many games against each other, really is going to determine it.
yeah. I mean, that's like we talked about last week with the Milwaukee Brewers. That's kind of been like their where they slip up a little bit.
Yep.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
It's a tight division, and hopefully it gets better.
Yeah, it looks like it'll be a
Or
good division to keep an eye on like throughout the season
yeah,
because they're all so close, and it doesn't really look like any of the top four are gonna slip too much.
yeah. Put all their games at 7 so that we can watch them.
If only.
If only this could have been the NBA Finals. It might have actually been good. And you don't have to watch Golden State. All right. So, then we move on to the NHL Awards. They were last night. Um, Winners across the board because that's what an award show has. Um, and we're going to go through them.
Yep.
So, uh, number one, the Hart Trophy MVP, best player on, or most important player to the team was Taylor Hall, New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, actually,
Uh,
it was a
Man was a beast.
it was a close ballot though. That's the only time every other one was expected, but this one was a close ballot, and I might be biased, but he deserves it.
Oh yeah, I mean, in our first episode we were doing award talk, like predicting it, and I think that we said that Taylor Hall deserved it. I don't know. Like, I mean, me being the anti-Philly guy that I am, I dismissed Claude Giroux right from the jump. Um, so glad that this was the result.
Yeah.
Worked out pretty well. Um, and then you had the Golden Knights. They just took home a bunch of hardware. You had the Lady Bing went to William Carlson.
Jack Adams to Gallant.
Yep, best coach Jack Adams goes to Gallant. For
GM went to McPhee.
yeah, George McPhee, GM of the year, because he put together such a great team.
He drafted the better than average player from every other team.
Yep.
And,
Benefited from a flawed system, but
yeah.
we won't say anything.
And then
I
the
leadership
piece,
the leadership award went to Derek Englund.
I could see it.
Yeah, I mean,
He did a lot for that city and probably the team too, so I have no problem with that award either. So
yeah, exactly. And then the coach of the Willie O'Ree Community Hero Award was the coach of the Humboldt Broncos, a team that had the unfortunate incident earlier this year.
Yeah.
Best goaltender went to Pecorine.
For the regular
Uh,
season he had, I think he deserves it, but he completely underperformed in the playoffs.
yeah, it was about, I was about to say, because I knew when we've talked about this before, and we've said like, oh, that the trophies are only judged on your regular season play, but Pecorine kind of his playoffs were a
He,
completely different level
oh yeah,
of like what happened. Like it's as if his career just his prime just left him right in the middle of the playoffs.
yep,
He went from the prime to the back end that quick.
yeah. But I mean, for his regular season performance, he definitely deserved the Vezina Trophy.
Yes. Um, and then the Selke Trophy went to Anze Kopitar of the Kings.
I'm pretty sure we talked about him when we brought up Selkie in our first episode.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Matt Barzal, I think we both predicted
Yeah, he had the best
Islanders. He
stats
was
of a
going to
rookie.
win the Calder.
Shoe in.
Yep. The Norris went to Victor Hedman, best defenseman.
Yep.
The King Clancy Trophy went to the Sedin brothers of the Canucks who retired this year.
Yeah, so I mean, I felt like they had to give them some award, and they deserve. I mean, I could see them going for the King Clancy, but I
Yeah.
knew they were gonna get an award, and I figured it'd be together.
I mean, they did everything. I wouldn't be surprised if they started up a business together in their retirement, to be brutally honest with you. Like, I don't feel like they're capable of doing things apart. No, because, like, even their draft pick was both of them.
Well, no, but Vancouver did a lot to get both of them.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, it
Absolutely,
wasn't
but,
them
like-
that got drafted together because they chose to. It's because Vancouver made a lot of moves to get those picks right next to each other.
Right, but, like, if you watch the video of them being drafted, they didn't go at picks this and at pick this. They said both names in the same pick.
Well, yeah. What else are you gonna do?
I mean,
It's not like-
a pick number 196 and 197, for example.
Uh-huh.
Henrik and, Daniel Sedin.
Eh.
It's not that much of a stretch to add the next number in there. I mean,
I mean,
you have hundreds
for
of
official
picks.
reasons, one of them did get drafted before the other.
Right, that's what I'm saying is why didn't it, like, I would have expected it the other way. Than both in the same pick because then, it's that, always searching for who was drafted first. And then the last one that your bias comes into play is the Masterton Award.
I mean, I don't see
went
how
to
that's
Brian
my
Boyle.
bias, but just
It's not your bias, but your fandom, okay?
Yes.
Just
okay,
work
that's fair.
with me here, okay? God damn, man. It's Thursday night.
Yeah, but
No one wants to be here.
with when they did the awards, they I mean, I think Brian Boyle was the only choice at that point because as
The cancer.
unfortunate as to say, like Jordan Stahl lost his child afterwards. Because I know they did the awards, some of the awards voting.
Well, you could say Eric Carlson for that, too.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that happened either during or after the voting for that award. Because some of them are voted on close to the end of the season, and still during the season.
Didn't Eric Carlson lose his child, like, months ago?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Because they did some of the awards voting during the during the regular season, but closer to the end.
Okay, I mean, we could play research on this, but I really don't want to look up when an athlete lost their child. I think that's a little insensitive.
Yeah, but I mean, I said again, it's unfortunate that a lot of bad things happened around the hockey community this year.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't
That was-
like this award because it highlights the bad. It tries to do it in a good way, but I don't really think it accomplishes
Kind of
that.
like, the best, you toughed out your traumatic experience.
Yeah. So I
It's
mean,
like,
I understand its purpose.
Yeah, but, like, isn't going through the traumatic experience enough as it is.
Yeah, and then like there's so many tragedies that happened this year that how could you just like highlight one?
Right. Like my thing, like the Humboldt Broncos thing, is obviously very tragic. But at some point, don't you think that the personnel for that team want to stop, uh, kind of remembering that they were in an accident where a number of their players died?
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
I
at some point
agree,
you
and
want to
that's why
close the book.
as much as I understand this award, I dislike it.
Yeah. At some point, you just, as the athlete or the organization, whatever, you just want to kind of like close, turn the page, close off the chapter, and move on to the next one. It's incredibly hard to do that if you're only being remembered for the things before you're trying to turn the page. So, like, uh, just my theory is like, don't celebrate it and let people just have their privacy so that they can actually recover from, the stuff.
Yep.
It's kind of ridiculous, but it's what their intent to do is a nice thing in trying to honor people and raise awareness, but at some point it's like enough. Like time
Well, not
heals all
even
wounds.
that. It's how can you bring one thing to the forefront when things that were equally as tragic are still
Right.
there,
You
right?
right. You can't diminish that kind of stuff.
Right? No, so like I understand that this award is to bring tragedies to the forefront and show how like the player or whomever gets the award persevered and what they went through, but it it has a side effect that's definitely not intended, but still is the case.
Right. You can't put one above another.
Yeah, so I mean, I
If there's any award that you could like give to multiple people.
yeah, but that, I mean that's not going to happen. That's why they have an award to give to somebody as a representation of like I understand like it represents something good and something that we want to be represented in the community, but it has a side effect that's unintended that can be taken a lot of different ways that's not necessarily good.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's just talk about how Claude Giroux didn't win the Hart Trophy again. Oh, the Hart Trophy, he didn't win it. I'm just so happy about that.
I'm
It
happy
was
that
it
Taylor
was
Hall won.
okay, but it was supposed to be such a great year for Philly fans. They got their Eagles win, and the Sixers looked really good. Giroux was gonna win the Hart Trophy. The Villanova wins the national championship.
Yep.
It was like they thought they were gonna have it all this year,
I mean, they
and
actually came
nope,
fairly
nope, they
close, to
nope,
be fair.
nope,
Like,
nope, nope.
yeah, but I mean, the Sixers made it to the playoffs. Philly, I mean, they did pretty well.
Yeah, no, not really. Just in terms of my mind, but
Well, I mean, you have bias against them.
if you say so.
Definitely. Not if I
Nope.
say so, it's definite.
If you say so. This, I've been hearing you make that sound since like first grade.
I guess it's just my signature.
No, I mean you do it like exclusively to me. I feel like
Nah, I don't think
I
so.
just say stupid things that make you think like why, and then I say smart things like Claude Giroux will never have won the Hart Trophy anyway. See, there it is again.
Well, you asked for that one.
I guess I mean not verbatim, but I'm just trying to stretch out this episode, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're killing through things actually. We're 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, we got one thing left. NBA draft preview, because, well, it's happening tonight, but we needed this episode to be a little bit longer, so suck it up. We're doing it our way this time
Next
around.
week we'll go over the draft,
Yeah,
and probably pretty
next year.
shortly
Next
after
year, yeah.
we publish this one.
Next year we'll just do a live show or whatever the hell you wanted. I don't know how we're gonna do a live show, but we've got a year to figure it out.
Yeah, so let's hit the draft preview, right? So top 5
Yeah.
picks are Suns, Kings, Hawks.
Yeah. Then you got shit, I forgot to look up the order.
I know the
Crap.
top 3 are Suns, Kings, Hawks, right?
Yeah, I think so. Holy crap. We are bad radio.
It's
Stupid ESPN app is so fucking horrible.
Suns, Kings,
Hawks,
Hawks,
Grizzlies,
Grizzlies,
Mavericks.
There you go.
And then you got Magic at 6, Bulls at 7, Cavs at 8, Knicks at 9,
and Sixers.
and Sixers at 10. Alright, and that's been the NBA draft. No, not really. So going into the draft, the number 1 and number 2s, at least that I saw on the mock draft sites for the past few weeks, were Doncic, who is a Slovenian point guard from, well, Slovenia. Luka Doncic, he's was expected to go 1 or 2, with the other prospect being DeAndre Ayton, 7'1" center from the University of Arizona. So I've seen tons of mock drafts having it either way, but then we had this headline that came out that because Doncic's EuroLeague championship was this week too, or he was playing in the finals, he chose to stay overseas and compete in the finals rather than work out for teams in the U.S. And I guess
They undervalued him. They lowered his value because of it,
yeah, like
which
because
I think is stupid.
yeah, I mean, like, competitiveness, like, you want that. That's the reason why the Browns took Baker Mayfield number 1, is a guy with a competitive edge. And you're going to, like, say that, oh, the guy who's chasing a title is, like, you're going to take value away from him because that's the kind of drive he has. That might be the stupidest thing ever. Like, that's the kind of stuff that would make your, like, if anything, that would probably solidify his number 1 overall status in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, that's taken him away from the number 1, number 2 spot and closer to top 5, maybe even top 10. I don't get it. That's way stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I agree because if I were a team, I'd want competitiveness, right? So he's staying overseas because he's competitive and he wants the EuroLeague championship.
Yeah, I mean, I get why the NBA teams want the guy to work out in front of them, because, like, you don't know how well the EuroLeague game transitions to the NBA game until you have, like, some simulated practices and you can see how well it would work.
But it's not really how the game transitions, it's how the player adapts his game to the NBA style.
Well, to some extent, yeah, but the level of competition over there is not going to be anything compared to the level of competition in the NBA. The caliber of players is way higher in the NBA than it ever will be over there. That's why the guys who don't make it in the NBA go to the EuroLeagues.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a different style of play there, but I feel like it's mostly on the player because if you have talent, you should be able to slowly integrate into the NBA style from the EuroLeague style.
I guess, but I don't know. My feeling is like, if I'm trying to justify what the teams are wanting in terms of getting the guy to practice first. It's because in the EuroLeague he's a man amongst boys, but if you put him in a league where the talent is higher, if he's just a boy among or a man among men, then it's like, is he really worth that high of a draft pick? Because he might just end up being like the sixth man for a team at that, if it doesn't work out well.
Hey, I mean, but how many like draft picks are always volatile though, so you have to go with what you think because for all you know, usually the first pick will be pretty certain, but past that, it's quite volatile. Because there are years where like the entire a couple of like the entire top five or most of the top five just doesn't make it from the
Yeah,
draft.
scrubs. Like Kevin Durant never has done anything in the league.
I mean, no, but I'm just saying, like, if you look at any draft, not only the
Never,
NBA
never
draft,
made it to the third contract. Not with his original team.
yeah,
In football, that's big. You make that third contract, people put tattoos of you on them.
oh boy. But anyway, what I'm saying is the fact that
What are you saying?
drafts are volatile in the sense that you might like you're taking a chance on this guy. So I understand that you want him to work out in front of you to make it so that you think you're better off with this one over the other. But
hmm
in the end, you still don't know, and you're either hit or miss. And
Yeah.
I would value his competitiveness just like I would value his like workout in front of you right now because at least competitiveness shows drive to improve.
Yeah. And, me being a casual Suns fan, I would have wanted Aiton because I also follow the University of Arizona. But watching a couple highlights of Doncic and just seeing like he's got swagger, he's got confidence, he's got the drive. I kind of want Doncic now, like over Aiton, and that's a lot to say from a University of Arizona fan, but the guy looks like he has it more than Aiton does, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell, really.
I mean, Aiton took 100 grand bribe from the university or from Nike or something through the University of Arizona or to like go to University of Arizona. So there's a lot of feeling that Aiton is more money driven and just so happens to be like the number one guy. And we'll see. Hopefully it proves me wrong, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I
For the love of the game, always win.
I don't think you can go wrong with either of those players.
We'll find out in a few years.
Yeah,
Can't wait. Um, and then there's this guy, Michael Porter Jr. He was like the number one prospect going into his freshman year in college to Missouri. And then, like, in his first college game,
he gets hurt.
he got hurt. And, like, he ended up playing, like, 5 games for the season, if that. And he, in pre-draft interviews, like, when you get hurt, you fall off. The media doesn't follow you as much. Um, so no one's really talking about him being like a top 5 pick. Like he
He's not a top five pick. He's trying to make himself look like one, but there's
right,
no way.
right. He's probably a top 10, 15 pick, lottery pick to say. Um, but he decided to say that Kevin Durant is better than LeBron James. I have no problem with that. LeBron versus Kevin Durant has been storybook stuff for the media for years. If you lean one way versus the other, then that's fine. Do your thing. But then when you talk about yourself and say that your game is in a blend of Giannis Antetokounmpo, uh,
Kevin
Kevin
Durant.
Durant, and Tracy McGrady, that's where we have problems. Like,
That is
you,
definitely
you
not
can't
true.
play 5 games in college and call yourself like a blend of three uh, current or future Hall of Fame players. You can't do that.
Definitely not.
Like, you haven't been on a high enough of a stage for long enough to do that, and it's just absolutely
I mean,
ridiculous
I
that you
don't
think that
think
you're that
you
high.
ever have the right to say that about yourself until you play like
And,
them in the
right,
NBA.
right. Until you've solidified your status.
Because
It,
even if you're like somebody else has to say that about you if you're going into the going into the
right.
draft from college. There's no way you've made enough of a splash in order to compare yourself to 3 Hall of Famers, if not future Hall of Famers.
Yeah, my big thing when it comes to uh, guys who are going to be drafted and go into the league as rookies is proving that you're humble, proving that you're
Driven.
unselfish, yeah, proving that you're driven, proving that you're not above hard work. You start comparing yourself to Hall of Famers
Proving yourself.
before you've even hit the stage on draft night. Absolutely not. Like that. Like that's like saying that everything's been handed to you, and like you just think that everything for the rest of the time will be handed to you. It doesn't work that way.
Sounds like
You
him.
gotta shut up and grind.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It's like that claim that he's like a cross between those 3 players is outrageous. Like, just get it out of here.
Yeah, not in my league, not in my NBA. Although my NBA is probably more closely aligned with like the 1970s. High Sox and Pete Maravich.
Okay.
All right, and then we're take a little blast to the past with me here. I don't know if you remember. This was back even when I was living in New Jersey. It's been like 5.5 years now, but this was after we finished high school. This was summer 2012.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the Orlando Magic were, trying to trade Dwight Howard because he was going to be in the last year of his
Yep.
deal. Try
Trying
to
to
get
get
something
something
back,
for him.
right? And newly signed on to ownership Mikhail Prokhorov of the Nets, still in New Jersey at the time. They
In
went
Brooklyn.
hard trying to get Dwight Howard. No, they were still in
Oh,
New Jersey
right.
at
They
the
moved
time.
after, right?
Right, right. They had like a year or two
Yeah.
in New Jersey. They went hard trying to get Dwight
I remember
Howard.
that.
They said like, "Oh, we'll pay the luxury tax. I don't care. I'm gonna get Dwight Howard no matter what I do." And they didn't.
He might have,
Because the luxury cap doesn't work that way. You still have to like be under the salary cap.
yep.
And so the Lakers got him.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, Dwight Howard spends 1 year in Lakerland. Then he spends 3 or 4 years in Houston. Traded to, or not traded to. After Houston, he goes to Atlanta. A little bit of a homecoming, except he sucks in his homecoming.
Yep.
Then he gets traded to Charlotte,
He's been
and
around.
yeah, and yesterday, this is where it comes all full circle, and we're recording this on a Thursday, so I guess Throwback Thursday in a way. The Nets acquired him.
Yep.
He's on the Nets now, and it's a good move for the Nets, not because Dwight Howard's any good anymore, but because they traded away Timothy Mozgov, who has 2 years and $49 million left on his deal.
What?
Yeah, for not a good player.
I mean, that's stereotypical Nets at this point.
Well, the Nets absorbed the contract because they could, and it was a better player for them at that point in time.
Yep.
Um, but it was a rebuild effort.
Dude, they've
And
been in rebuild effort for so long.
yeah, but now it's like they're truly trying to rebuild. Before it was like they just sucked and they didn't have like
One
now
could
they're
make many arguments.
yeah, I mean, but now they are trading for picks too. Like they're not trading away first rounders; they'll trade away a second rounder, which I'm okay with.
This
If you're a
draft
fan,
begs to
because
differ.
kind of, but will show that second round picks, depending on which pick it is, don't always pan out to
Oh yeah,
mean much,
but I mean,
especially in the
even
NBA.
late first round picks are quite a bit up in the air.
Right, but I think they have a late first round pick
Yeah,
and they
they
didn't
have
trade it, which is
29.
yeah.
They also have 3 second rounders this year.
Yeah, and they traded I think 1 second rounder for this year for Dwight, and I think one in a future year,
Hmm. Okay.
which that's not a lot to get a former All Star who can kind of teach up and comers the way into the league, and to get rid of a big time contract on a role player at the same time. They won that trade even if the trade doesn't,
Pan out.
translate. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
In terms of Dwight Howard's productivity, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
If the young guys on the Nets can learn from Dwight Howard, if he takes on that role to teach and help them, then it works.
Yeah.
And if not, if nothing else, they took on a smaller contract and got rid of a bigger one,
So they
and
can use it somewhere else.
right, if they want to try to find a free agent where they're like, okay, you be the teacher, then it works too.
Mm-hmm.
Because $6 million a year, that that's a deal breaker in some contracts on mid-level players.
Yeah, definitely.
And the mid-level players may be the guys who teach better than the role players, or not role players, the star players.
Stars.
Because the
I
star
mean, I don't
players
think
are
stars teach well anyway.
right. Well, they're still so enamored in their career,
Mm-hmm.
than whereas mid-level players who like may be starting, but like know that like this is not their time. They're grooming for somebody else and accept it. Are going to be the better ones.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and then so now we get to play spoiler to end the show. NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski, or however you pronounce it, put his last name in a spelling bee. You'll probably get it wrong. So I guess ESPN didn't want any of the NBA insiders leaking draft picks, so they're not live tweeting or anything during the draft. So this guy just decided to tweet like 6 hours before the draft and say like, here's the development on what the top six is going to be. The Suns number one with 8-2, Kings with Bagley, 3
Doncic.
Doncic to the Hawks, 4 Jaren Jackson to the Grizzlies, 5 Mavericks with the Mo Bamba, and number 6 the Magic take Trae Young. So there you go. Watch whatever TV show you want for the first half hour, because
Well-
you don't need to watch the NBA draft now. It's already out there.
Well, I mean, if those end up being the top 6, right?
I mean, if it's a leak, then it should be, but we'll see.
But
Only
it
time will
might
tell.
not be a
I'm not
leak.
going to tell.
It could just be his prediction.
Yeah, I don't think an NBA insider gives his prediction. Or at least, because this is the guy.
He gives an
no,
educated guess.
He,
I don't think
he's
he
not,
gives something with 100% certainty.
He's not. He's not the like former player who sits in an ESPN studio. This is the guy who reports all the trades and has like all the resources. Like, uh, there's reason to believe he has enough connections to
I mean, I'm
actually
not gonna
leak
say
it.
they're all wrong, but like, maybe he missed one or something. I don't know. I'm
We'll find out.
yeah.
It's an exciting time of the year, and we'll go through Adrian Wojnarowski's.
Good luck with that name.
I say it 3 times and nothing appears. We'll go over what actually happened on the next show.
Yep.
But until then, I'll catch you guys later. See ya.